Creatures overran the planet, dragging it into chaos and fear. Humanity stood its ground, fighting tooth and nail to defend what little peace they had left. Standing among these warriors was Carcelian Lindian, the one at the center of this tale, going head-to-head against the monsters without backing down. Years went by with him slaying one beast after another, turning piles of enemies into corpses using just a single sword, and not once flinching. Then the big one came. He squared off against Aaron's borderline twin, a monster in every sense. The duel was savage, but in the end, he managed to eliminate that monstrous freak. But even heroes fall after the carnage. He too lost his life, except destiny wasn't done with him. Floating in the void between life and death, he came across a human kid from a place called Earth. That kid's name, Seo Dajin, and he was on the edge of dying for reasons still unclear. Before biting the dust, he begged Vanian for a favor. But Vanian wasn't having it. Dude cut him off before he could even spit it out. Can't blame him, the man just wanted a clean exit. He was over all the heartbreak, lost his nation, everyone he cared about, and died a meaningless death. Still, even though Dajin wasn't exactly clinging to life, his one wish was to see his family live without suffering. That finally cracked Vanian. The man decided to hear him out. And when Dajin dropped the family card, Vanian didn't hesitate. He agreed to look after them. Next thing you know, he wakes up in a teenager's body, Seo Dajin S, now alive and well on Earth. And what's his first objective? Break into Namsan Gate, which for the record is C rank. Only authorized hunters are allowed inside. The system blares at him to scan his ID. But yeah, no ID in sight. So what does he do? Walks straight through the barriers like it's nothing, instantly triggering a full-blown security lockdown. Once inside, he starts roaming around, ready to bust heads. That's when he runs into a group of licensed hunters, officials who are legally operating inside. They see him and assume he's some random kid who wandered in. Since they're on their way out anyway, they offer to walk him back. Dajin keeps his mouth shut. It's giving weird energy. Even they feel it. Casual clothes, zero gear, and a basic-looking backpack. He doesn't scream pro. Some porters these days dress chill, but this dude's fit is a little too plain. The group figures he's probably a rookie porter who got ditched by his original squad, but even they're unsure. Finally, Dajin breaks the silence. He confirms their suspicions but clarifies he walked in here solo, no team, no escort. One of the hunters lets out a sigh. He's seen wannabes stroll into gates after watching one too many action-packed hero ads, but this isn't a fantasy. He warns Dajin about how reckless that is. If you want to be a hunter, there's a whole process, certification, training, exams. And this is a C-rank zone. If you're new, start with F-rank unless you've got a death wish. After all that unsolicited wisdom, Dajin fires back and makes it real clear. He doesn't need a lecture. Naturally, the hunters are taken aback. They were just trying to help, but now they're annoyed. Still, their leader tells them to chill. If the kid wants to play tough, let him. He'll learn when reality slaps him. They hope he sees how dangerous gates really are, not like those glamorized TV commercials that make monster hunting look like a cosplay event. Meanwhile, Dajin finally meets his first challenger, a troll the size of a truck. Eyeing him like dinner, the beast lunges, misses. Dajin's already moved way too fast. He clenches his fist and drives it into the creature's skull, blasting its face to oblivion. It's like watching a crossover between One Punch Man and Omniman. With the beast down, it's loot time. First, he snatches its sword, uses it to dig through the corpse, and pulls out a glowing gem. Turns out it's a weak-grade monostone, the kind he used to ignore in his past life. But broke boys can't be picky. Then boom, more monsters show up. Pissed about their buddy's death, Dajin reacts fast. He chucks the gem so hard, it detonates one of their heads. The other two charge in. He's more than ready while he's clearing the floor with them. We cut to the same group of hunters. They're still trekking through monster territory. And guess who they're thinking about? Yep, Dajin, the redhead in the squad, is genuinely worried. She thinks he might be dead already. The team leader's not convinced if he really is unauthorized. The gate control agents will find him soon. Those guys are always B rank or higher, and this is just a C rank gate. No way someone dies here unless they're brainless. As long as he doesn't charge monsters like an idiot, he'll be fine. Baldy agrees. He bets the brat is just hiding somewhere, scared out of his mind, waiting to be rescued. Reality check, it's the complete opposite. Seo Dajin is the one making monsters freak out. He's landing hits before they even blink. Blink and boom, they're out cold. He teleports behind one, throws out a roundhouse kick, and flattens its skull. With the mess cleaned up, he nabs their weapons and harvests more magic stones. A bit later, he's all packed up and ready to dip, but he's not thrilled. All he's got are cheap mana rocks barely worth carrying. That's when he gets spotted by the suits. Gate control agents lock eyes on him and alert their team. He turns slightly, and boom, he's face to face with three agents who are dead serious. They introduce themselves and ask for his hunter ID. No card, then he's coming with them. Dojin doesn't say anything, just looks annoyed. This whole scene is killing his vibe. Still, he can't be bothered to argue, so he just turns around to leave. The agents snap, warning him to comply or get cuffed. And hey, while Dojin's out here casually violating gate laws and terrifying monsters like it's his part-time gig, how about you hit that like button, drop a comment, and help us get to 1,000 subscribers. Join the Truck Kun family where reincarnations happen daily. Speaking of which, lucky for Dojin, he didn't need Truck Kun's help this time, but hey, give it one more arc. They say force is allowed if things get out of hand. One of the pushier agents grabs CO Dojin's wrist and warns him if he doesn't play nice, he's gonna walk out of here with a few broken bones. And when that happens, it's all on him. So hey, better to settle this the calm way, not fists flying. But yeah, Dojin's patience just ran out. He snatches the guy's hand right back and tells him to quit being a thorn in his side. That one line hits different. The guy stiffens straight up, spooked. Cold sweat kicks in. His buddies, they whip out those shiny batons. Not your average sticks either. These are grade 4 enchanted rods, strong enough to knock down an orc. But against Dojin, they might as well be toys. He cranks the agent's arm back hard, drawing a pathetic yelp that honestly fits the dude. Then comes the warning. Walk away now or kiss your pride goodbye. Still, the agents have a job to do, so they come at him. Batons swing, but they never land. Dojin counters, slamming. One right in the spine, and another square in the stomach, only one left. The guy in glasses, he knows he's next. He tenses up, eyes scanning. Suddenly, Dojin vanishes like smoke, making the guy freak. Then boom, a gut punch from nowhere leaves him gasping. Dojin's clearly done playing tag with these agency lackeys. Maybe it's time to finally go legit. The agent, still trying to sound tough, says if Dojin just stays out of trouble, no one will come knocking. Then Dojin hits him with a curveball. What's a rift? That one catches the agent off guard. So here's the breakdown. This world has multiple entryways to another realm full of bizarre creatures. These portals are scattered everywhere. Monsters drop gems when killed, and those gems are now a prime energy source. Governments control most of these portals, labeling them as gates, and only certified heroes are allowed in. But some of these aren't monitored or locked up. Those are called rifts. Back to Dojin, he's fed up with being trailed by agents wherever he goes, always being accused of illegal entry. The agent explains, if an unregistered hunter enters any gate, the system flags it and agents are dispatched ASAP. So now Dojin's thinking of heading into a rift, but the agent warns those places aren't for amateurs. Walk into one unauthorized and you won't get a warning, you'll get punished. No excuses, no second chances. Dojin tunes all that out. Instead, he grabs the guy by the face and tosses him aside like yesterday's garbage. Now the agent's regretting not calling backup, he's way out of his league. Before leaving, Dojin gives one last look at the guy flopped on the ground. The man's arm looks busted, and he's yelling threats, swearing he'll catch Dojin and lock him up. Scene changed to the Seoul Gas and Digital Complex over in Gwamcheon District. It's been turned into the Hero Complex, the main hub for trading monster loot, especially magic stones. Business is booming. Dojin strolls into one of the shops buying magic stones. Inside, a Gen Z clerk is glued to his phone, probably watching reels that lower your IQ. When Dojin says he's here to sell, the dude instantly turns into a salesman, bragging this shop gives top prices, best deals in the country, blah blah blah. Dojin drops the goods on the counter, cracked gems still dripping with monster gunk. The clerk's face drops like he just saw his GPA. He's grossed out but doesn't complain. He asks Dojin if he wants coffee while they clean and tally. Next thing you know, Dojin's chilling with a cup while the guy scrubs blood off stones. When it's all cleaned and counted, 12 low-tier stones, 16 mids, and 5 high-low mixes. After slicing off a fat 40% cut, Dojin's payout lands around 5.5 million won. But he's not loving that math. He did all the hunting, got covered in monster guts, and this dude wants nearly half the profit. The shopkeeper proudly explains he's actually being super generous. Others take 45% or more. He even tells Dojin to take the gems back if he doesn't like the rate. No one else will give a better offer, or so he claims. Dojin ain't buying it. He starts grabbing his gems back. The clerk panics, grabs his hand, and demands payment for the appraisal, the coffee, and even the towel he ruined cleaning the blood. Altogether, about 350,000 won. Dojin's not budging. He doesn't care how hard this guy tries to nickel and dime him. So the clerk calls in his backup. 3 C-rank muscle heads burst in, ready to throw hands. Dojin glares. The shop guy glares back. Cut to the clerk drenched in sweat, face pale, reality hitting hard. Why? Because Dojin wrecked his entire crew like it was casual cardio. No effort, just domination. Now the shopkeeper knows exactly who he messed with. Dojin steps back up to the counter and calmly renegotiates the commission 1%, no arguments. Because honestly, who's gonna say no to a guy who just folded your whole team without blinking? Deal's done. Dojin walks out loaded, cash in hand, all earned with fists and grit. Back home, Grandma Pa and his sister are stunned. That's a lot of money. Granny even suspects it's fake. Dojin plays it cool, says it's from a loan he gave to a friend who hit it big. Grandma's not sure he even has a friend like that. He tosses out another fib, says it was an old buddy from childhood. Eventually, she lets it go. Meanwhile, his sister's over the moon. She thinks her big bro just made them rich. He pats her head and starts painting dreams about the lavish life ahead. The kid's bouncing around like she just won the lottery. Seeing her that pump makes Dojin realize he's actually doing something right, sticking to the vow he once made. He recalls what the original owner of his body had whispered before vanishing. His dying wish was simple, protect his grandma and little half-sis Yunyang. But the guy faded out before Dojin could even reply. Next thing he knows, boom, he's CO Dojin now. And from that moment on, he gave himself one mission. Make sure this tiny family lives safe, comfy, and stress-free. To do that, he's dead set on buying the most secure home in all of Korea. Price tag, a jaw-dropping 110 billion won. But Dojin's not sweating it. If he can get back even a slice of his old power, making cash is gonna be easy mode. This world, it's freakishly similar to the one he watched crumble. Same systems. Rifts, gates, monsters, just toned down. Compared to the absolute hellscape he fought through, this place is beginner level. Back in his old life, he was known as the Sword God. Now, he's coasting with just 10% of that strength. Right then, there's a knock at the door. Some dude says he's here to meet Dojin. Dojin shrugs and heads over to open it. Outside, two goons waiting with bad attitudes. These guys are here to squeeze him for cash, saying he owes a wild 48 million won. Dojin instantly clocks them as loan sharks. Turns out the original Dojin borrowed 5 mil for Grandma's hospital bills, but these scumbags jacked it up with ridiculous interest. Now they're waving a contract in his face, claiming since he's been making bank through gates, he better cough it up. But the only thing they get is a fist straight into the big guy's jaw. That one hit launches him across the street, leaving the skinny one frozen in place. Dojin throws him a death stare and coolly reminds him, over 9 mil's already been paid. So technically, these parasites owe him money now. Then he rocks the scrawny dude with another punch that makes him bawl like a toddler. Dojin growls a message, tell your boss I'm dropping by soon. Cut to a shopping mall. Packed with people. Yunyang's eyes light up in front of a teddy bear shop. Dojin's treating her to a massive haul. Today she can pick anything she wants. Back in his past life, he wasn't the type to melt over cute stuff like this. But now, the memories from the real Dojin are changing him. Seeing how gently the original treated Yunyang stirs something in him. Even though she's just his half-sis, it warms his heart. So now he wants to keep that energy going, give her everything he can. The girl finally settles on a tiny bunny plush, being all modest about it. But Dojin grabs a way bigger one for her. He doesn't want her holding back. Today's her day to go all out. They hit up some food stalls too, grabbing bites to eat, and while they're chilling, an unfamiliar voice calls out his name. It's some middle-aged woman flanked by a crew of bodyguards. She waddles up, looking like trouble. First thing out of her mouth, she roasts his fashion sense like she's on a comedy show. Then she glances at Yunyang and throws a jab, saying he must have knocked someone up, just like his mom did. Yeah, low blow. Dojin's blood is boiling. Yunyang, though, she's just sitting there, confused and clueless. The woman then turns her attention to Yunyang, asking for her name. The girl says Lee Yunyang, and the woman suddenly clicks she's his sister. But that doesn't stop her. She instantly fires off a diss at the girl's clothes. Then this gremlin even drags their late mother into the mess. And now Dojin is past his breaking point, but weirdly he's still keeping it together, not lashing out, not biting back. Even this troll of a lady is shocked he's staying calm. So what does she do? She takes it further. She has the audacity to ask a kid what the word harlot means. That's it, Dojin snaps. He calls her a busted orc-faced monster in human clothes. She's left standing there, blinking like her brain just blue-screened. Now to understand why Dojin was holding back this long, we gotta rewind. He grew up dirt poor, born out of wedlock. At just 7, his mom passed and he barely made it to his father's house. His dad had already moved on, remarried, had a real kid. Dojin got tossed aside like he didn't exist. Eventually he was booted out of the house completely and had to live at grandma's place with his half-sis. Thinking back on all that now, he feels bad for the real Dojin, the one who lived through all that pain while faking a smile every day. But this time he's rewriting the script. That explains why he was trying not to snap at first, but he's done. He remembers how disgusting she was back when they lived under the same roof, and guess what? Nothing's changed. She's still gross inside and out, dumb as bricks too. He slices her pride apart with facts, calling her out for her massive inferiority complex. All her insults, just projection. Truth is, she's jealous of everyone and obsessed with dragging them down. While he keeps serving her verbal takedowns, the whole mall-s staring like it's live theater. The org clone is about to pop, but then her mom arrives. The moment she sees her mother, she dashes over, whining like a brat. She complains Dojin humiliated her with his words. But guess what? Her mom doesn't back her up. She gives her daughter the coldest glare known to mankind. Honestly, Dojin's stepmom is kinda badass. At first, he even mistook that ogre for the stepmom. This fine lady turns to Dojin and greets him with elegance. She's all smiles, inviting him to come back home for a visit. But Dojin sees through that act immediately. Behind that sweet mask is the same woman who made his life miserable for 12 straight years. She keeps bringing up stuff he's buried deep, trying to trigger him, and it works. He goes full stone-cold mode. Voice sharp as a blade, he tells her to get the hell out of his face. That line hits harder than a slap. She just spins around and walks off, her pride shattered. Honestly, she didn't think he had it in him. She's left wondering if this is the same boy who used to bow his head in silence every time she smacked him around. Her demon of a daughter follows close behind, along with their crew of bodyguards. Not gonna lie, those guys were basically human furniture through that whole ordeal. Let's switch focus to our main guy now. Looks like those two ladies totally crashed the moment he and the other dude were having. So Dojin figures it's time to dip as well. That cold reaction he gave to his stepfemme, yeah, it wasn't random. He wanted to make something crystal clear. That weak version of Seo Dojin who used to just stay quiet, long gone. It's about time his garbage family gets that memo. Next, we cut to a Benz flying down the road. Inside, the worthless mom-daughter combo. The daughter's fuming, throwing shade at her mom for walking off without saying a word instead of putting Dojin in check. She vents like crazy, swearing at Dojin for the embarrassment they just went through. Meanwhile, the mom snaps at her assistant, demanding to know why Dojin is still breathing. Baldy's got no idea how this man's still kicking. It doesn't line up with what they were told. She's screaming bloody murder over the nonsense coming out of his mouth. Like, how is he even alive if they supposedly wrapped things up for good? The guy promises he'll double-check everything and this time make sure it's handled right. The daughter, though, completely clueless that her mom's been playing villain behind the scenes. She's clearly shaken hearing talk of death and murder. Eventually, mom just throws a curveball and asks her if she's got feelings for Dojin. That totally throws Miss Piggy off and she starts blushing all nervous. But really, she's stressing about Dojin dying, cause if granddad or her dad find out they're screwed. Then the mom grabs her face hard and makes it clear. She better stay the hell out of her affairs. She's got zero plans to let Dojin live after he dared to challenge her like that. Wiping him out is the ultimate payback. Flashback to 10 years back. That's when the world flipped upside down with the arrival of the rift. This crazy dimension started dropping monsters like it was nothing. Creatures hellbent on slaughtering humans on sight. Their rampage didn't stop. Cities fell, everything burned, the planet basically got wrecked. But when the darkness came, so did the light. Legendary fighters showed up, known as heroes. With them came a wild discovery, mana stones. These things were found in the corpses of the fallen monsters. Jump back to today. Dojin's out and about, thinking about how those mana stones pretty much replaced traditional energy. They became the new gold, and countries started beefing over who gets control of the gates. That's right, these portals became the hot zone for resource mining. With how things are now, every bit of modern industry runs on these gates and the strength of the heroes who enter them. That's why being a hero pays big, like huge money. It's one of the few gigs where you can secure a fat paycheck. Anyway, Dojin reaches where he was heading, the Yangjiang HCS Capital HQ. Yeah, weird name, but don't worry, it'll make sense soon. He walks in, and from the looks of it, the boss and his little gang seem like your average low-life street thugs trying to look tough with ugly mugs. But Dojin, totally unfazed. The boss stubs out his cig and calls him out. Like, how dare he not only wreck his guys, but also show up here like it's nothing. That just proves Dojin's on a whole different level of not giving a damn. Our guy calmly tells the big man that honestly, he's the one who's been wronged here. Boss can't believe what he's hearing, so he asks for clarification. Dojin spells it out, he's here to collect what he's owed. The mental stress, the physical damage, the financial loss, it all adds up. That hits different. The boss notices something's changed. The kid's not the same quiet pushover anymore. And it's not just talk, he actually beat down the goon they sent before. All signs point to one thing, Seo Dojin must have awakened in some next-level way after going into the gate. Still, boss man acts all cocky, saying that confidence from awakening is gonna backfire, calls Dojin arrogant, and tries to scare him by bringing in backup. But honestly, those guys are nothing compared to someone with sword god-level skills. Boss starts yapping nonsense about how even awakened types can die like fodder, just like weak C-rank heroes. Dude really thinks Dojin's just a low-tier D-rank nobody, easy to squash. Meanwhile, Dojin's just chilling on the couch, surrounded by 5 goons eyeing him down. No fear, no flinch, he straight up tells the boss to sit his ass down. Boss is shook hearing that same calm tone, and Dojin follows it up saying he's not finished. That's when one of the thugs decides to grow a pair and steps up. Dojin casually removes his glasses. Bam! Launches a turbocharged Mike Tyson-style one-punch nuke straight to the dude's face. Launched him into orbit, the others are speechless, but it ain't over. Dojin knocks out another guy right after. And the wild part, he's calmly explaining things while landing haymakers. He starts calling out the boss's shady operation, the fake loan business cover, the sketchy underground dealings. Next, he clocks the orange-haired one and exposes their side hustle in fake IDs. He lays it all out and tells the boss he's here to buy a clean hero identity, one that won't bring him any heat later. Then he ducks the last guy's hit and slams him with a counter worth triple damage. One by one, they all get folded and hit the ground like dominoes. Dojin literally hands out naps like it's bedtime. He gets back to business, saying he needs a solid ID that's foolproof, something that won't cause him problems down the line. Boss is standing there still processing how fast his squad got clapped. Dojin reminds him he's got 24 hours to get it done. Some of the other dudes didn't even dare jump in, which, let's be honest, makes them smarter than 90% of the side NPCs in these kinds of stories. Usually they'd charge in like level 1 scrubs fighting a boss. Boss is shook to his core, trying to figure out what level this kid even is. Based on that beatdown, Dojin's probably packing at least B-rank power. He's so deep in his thoughts he forgets where he is until Dojin snaps him back to reality. Then, Boss nervously agrees to the request. At last, Dojin gently places a hand on the guy's shoulder. But his face cold as hell, he's not here to chat, he wants straight answers. Did Hong Hiju, his stepmom, actually send someone to erase him? And that checks out, based on that shady convo she had earlier with her daughter and assistant. The boss dude freezes, completely caught off guard, until Dojin's grip tightens so hard the man literally yelps. Even his backup crew just standing there useless. And not to be rude, but those haircuts, tragic. Anyway, under pressure, the guy finally spills. Turns out her twisted little plan was to bleed Dojin dry, drain his funds until he broke, mentally and financially, and saw suicide as the only way out. Brutal, right? That's next-level villain energy, even for a discarded son. That was the plan. And Dojin, he hears it all. Then finally lets the guy go after watching him beg like a toddler. But he has one more question, was trapping him inside the gate part of the whole setup? Suddenly the boss plays innocent, not me man. He even admits he wouldn't have gotten paid if Dojin died in there. So that kinda tracks. There's at least one reason he might not be lying. Still, Dojin starts putting things together. He mutters the name Kang Kal Wu, the guy who actually brought him into the gate in the first place. Now he wants every bit of info on that dude by tomorrow, non-negotiable. With that, he dips out calm and collected, leaving behind a room way more tense than when he walked in. After all that, Dojin sits alone, deep in his head again. The OG CO Dojin only ever had one wish, keep his little sister and grandma safe, that's it. And looking back at everything, it's just one heartbreak stacked on another. Kid never got a break. But hey, no need for pity. Because now the sword god's calling the shots and he's got no intention of letting that suffering go unanswered. Next day, boom, CO Dojin's officially on the books. His license, B rank, not bad, right? Unlike your usual MCs who gotta start from F rank just for dramatic flair. He taps his card at the scanner. And yep, it's legit, the system reads him in. But throws a warning, his rank's technically too low for the mission he's about to take. And honestly, that kinda ticks him off. Maybe he should have annoyed that examiner into giving him a higher rating just to skip this drama. Despite the system repeatedly telling him don't do it, Dojin couldn't care less. He's walking into that gate anyway. Let's break it down. The Night Island gate is labeled B rank, but don't get it twisted, a B rank hunter isn't automatically safe. The standard is usually one rank higher than the gate just for safety. The dungeon itself, grade D in terms of layout, spread out and not ideal for solo runs. But the layout is tunnel-based, so that gives Dojin an edge. Tight spaces actually make things simpler for someone like him. Still, this is usually an A rank job. But Dojin, danger and risk might as well be foreign words to him. Worst case scenario, he gets swarmed by a pack of monsters in a tunnel with no room to move. Fun. Anyway, he's face to face with his first challenge. A giant snake dripping in a violent purple aura. Any normal hunter would hit the panic button, but Dojin, he's hyped, flexes his gloves and gets ready to rumble. Oh, and the snake brought backup, their tongues straight out of a sci-fi horror flick. But no worries. Dojin's a literal grinder. He's out here erasing enemies and collecting mana like they were never even born. That Black Viper clan, they're notorious. One graze from their poison and you're down. But Dajin goes full speed, dashing like a missile, and launches a flurry of strikes. In seconds, he's slicing those suckers into red confetti, turning the entire tunnel into a bloodbath. And get this. His gloves, the ones that cost him 300,000 won, still holding up, keeping that poison off his skin, worth every cent. Back to the action. 4 more creepy, no-legged snakes come slithering in, and Dajin's already flying toward them. Each punch pops skulls like balloons, and in a splashy mess, he sends the whole squad packing. After the beatdown, he starts tearing through their remains, hoping to find some mana stones. But nothing, not even crumbs. Unfortunately, that lines up with what he remembers from his old world. These monsters only drop stones 3% of the time. Translation, he's gonna need to hunt a whole nest of these things to find anything worth taking home. As he pushes further in, he runs into someone special, Mr. Bonehead. Looks intimidating, right? You'd think it's the dungeon boss. Dajin not convinced. He even asks the thing directly, like it's gonna answer him. But one thing is for sure, at least now he won't get lost. With this big guy showing up, he figures the exits close. So he dives in, going for a quick finish, and nope. Even after a clean hit, the thing doesn't flinch. All Dajin's punch did was leave a little mark like a tattoo on its forehead. Before he can react, the boss swings its tail and slams him straight into the wall. Oof, that hurt. Reality check unlocked. Now the monster's baring its fangs, dripping with venom, and hissing like an angry girlfriend on an empty stomach. It lunges, Dajin dodges. He rides that momentum right into a counterattack, and smashes the thing's side, finally cracking its armor. From that second strike alone, he realizes one thing: this one's built different. That shell is insanely thick, way tougher than the other snakes. His usual punches won't cut it. Now he's thinking, should he switch it up? Back when he had his full power, this thing would have been dead in seconds. But then something catches his eye. It's a sword, not just any sword, the last guy's weapon, the one who died fighting this boss. And this right here, this is why they call him the sword god, not the punch god. Yeah, the blade's seen better days, but Dajin doesn't hesitate. He grabs it anyway, because he knows it's not about the weapon, it's all about the hands holding it. With blade in hand, he marches straight toward the charging beast. And the snake, it's not backing down, launches forward ready to kill. But now the real fight begins. Dajin jumps way up, yelling with pride that this beast should feel lucky. It's not every day he goes full power with a sword. Even though the blade's pretty much trash, he still pulls off a barrage of high speed. Slashes so fast, the snake's torn apart in seconds. What started as a serious showdown ends with a goofy twist. The snake dies off-screen while Dajin's sword turns to dust. Good thing he handled it while the thing was still clinging to life. With the boss beast down, Dajin comes up with a move that barely any other MCs think of. He rips out one of the fangs, figuring it might be great for crafting a short blade after some fine-tuning. Calling it a nice bonus from the raid, he leaves through the gate. By the time he steps out, night's already kicked in full of stars. Guess he spent more hours in that B-rank gate than he realized, but the way everything wrapped up, it just made him even more fired up to grind back to his peak. And hey, he's a little relieved his old crew didn't see him at this weak level. It'd be awkward. Back in town, he heads to get his magic stones evaluated and cashed in. But before he can, there's already another hunter showing off his load of stones. The stingy clerk gives him the cold shoulder and hits him with the same all 40% commission rate line. Even this nice dude can tell something's fishy with that markup. He straight up questions it, saying he's just a regular guy trying to get by. The receptionist, just like he did with Dajin earlier, tries to sell it as the best deal in town. Sure, the gate center offers 5%, but taxes wreck that anyway. From this shady clerk's angle, he thinks heroes should be happy with this setup. Easy money. Right, he hands over the cash and the hero doesn't complain much. Except when he brings up how jacked up the guy's face looks. What's hilarious is that this dude's still giving the same sales pitch, even after getting his face wrecked. He brushes it off, saying some nutcase wiped out his guards and left him with the bruises. The hero's like, well yeah, maybe don't leave weak guards hanging around C-rank zones. Because let's be real, rank isn't everything in this world. Actual skill matters way more. Rank's really just a broken label to keep the system moving. The hero knows people in the same rank vary wildly in talent, so you can't treat them all the same. He also points out the massive gap between a desk guard who chills all day and a hunter who's out there risking it every day. Even though he's dropping facts, the receptionist couldn't care less and just wants him to zip it and move on. He eventually does, telling the clerk to reach out if he ever needs help. As he's heading out, CO Dajin walks right by him, cool as ever. One look at him and the receptionist panics. He straight up freaks and screams that this is the psycho who wrecked him earlier. Turning around, the hero's actually kinda intrigued. He notices how lean Dajin is for his height. Still, after hearing the receptionist's story, he figures it might be worth checking if Dojin's the guy who started all the chaos. What I like about this dude is he's not easily triggered, he's got standards. He assumes Dojin's abusing his powers by pushing civilians around, even though he doesn't know the full story. Still, it's cool to see characters that actually feel grounded like this. The receptionist having a blast watching this unfold, especially since the hero's a seasoned 7-year vet. If he gets into trouble here, he's got the pull to throw Dojin under the bus real fast. But Dojin, he doesn't even flinch, he just turns and tells the guy to buzz off. That ticks him off, making it really look like Dojin's the bad guy now. Dojin asks if this dude's trying to settle the score. That line, it pushes the hero's buttons, but thanks to his experience. He knows fighting another hunter is dumb, it usually ends in someone dying, it's got worse odds than monster fights. He remembers that. And backs off, leaving the shady clerk totally stunned. Dojin glances at the receptionist and asks if he's got something to say. Before the guy can even answer, Dojin drops a fat bag of stones on the counter to get it appraised. These aren't basic stones either, they're top-tier stuff. From the clerk's POV, he's now wondering what kind of monster Dojin really is. After tallying it all up, it comes out to 150 million won. Looks big at first, but for Dojin it's pennies for a day's grind. He asks for the cash, but of course the clerk brings up the commission again, which earns him a death stare. But then Dojin remembers they'd set the rate at just 1%, so he chills out and tells the guy to just give him the rest. Meanwhile, the sketchy appraiser is dying inside, wishing he could just deck Dojin for the audacity. But that's just a fantasy in his head. Anyway, the guy says he needs upper management's green light for a payout this huge. Dojin doesn't wait a second, he demands he gets the go-ahead now. The guy dials his boss, whispering like a weasel, but before he can finish, Dojin snatches the phone and tells the boss to hurry up and approve the deal. The boss is fine with it but wants the phone passed back. With a smirk, Dojin returns it by smashing it into the wall. The receptionist is shaking at the sight of his destroyed phone as Dojin tells him to get the money ready fast. And that's how this poor dude ends up dragging out multiple bags of cash to complete the transaction. By the end of it, he's mentally ruined from the whole thing. You might feel bad for him, but remember, this dude's been stealing nearly half of what most hunters earn after risking their lives. He's trash. 10 minutes later, his boss finally shows up at the store. Fuming about why he wasn't picking up. The funny bit, the receptionist doesn't even try to explain, he just quits on the spot. Then the boss spots the shattered phone and instantly knows what went down. He grabs his own device and makes a call to Julian, telling her to get over here ASAP. Now Julian, she's a whole icon. This well-known young woman's got stunning pink-purple hair. And everyone on the street knows her. People are hyped to see her, chanting her name, Hunu Yin, like she's a celebrity. Not to mention, she's looking straight fire in that outfit. She walks into the place and absolutely stuns the front desk guy, tossing him a friendly smile as she greets him. There's a major reason everyone's buzzing about her. She's the 4th S-tier hero in the entire country, that's no small flex. Some folks are even gossiping that she's related to the big boss, which only makes him wonder why she'd even show up here. Backing up the rumors, Jian says she dropped by because her uncle asked her to come deal with a hero who's out of control. Curious about what she's walking into, the fashion-forward powerhouse kicks back, ready to hear the full story. Cut to our guy. Under the sun, jacked to the max, just vibing in a deep meditative state. He's been grinding monsters all day, but honestly, the payoff wasn't great. With things looking this rough, he's already stressing about what's next. Top priority, leveling up enough to solo S-rank gates. That means he's got to train like hell to get back to where he once was. Yeah, you heard right, training arc just dropped. Biggest hurdle in this life, unlike his last world, this one's got super weak mana. So even if he's going full throttle collecting energy, it'll still take him a solid 3 years, minimum, to get anywhere close to his OG strength. Probably longer if things get dicey. On the upside, he could always go after better gear. The problem, even trash-tier weapons cost hundreds of millions, total money sink. Suddenly, he gets this icy jolt through his body, some serious dangers nearby. Spotting Yunyang, he grabs her in a flash and yells for everyone to get indoors right now. Once inside, he seals the room shut while his grandma fires off questions, totally freaked. A massive rumble rocks the house and she panics, asking if that was an earthquake. Little Yunyang's shaking with fear. But the truth, only Dojin knows what's really going on. This isn't just the ground moving, something worse just popped off. Dojin picks up on this intense, violent energy outside. A dimensional tear just ripped through and guess what? It literally opened up above their house. He rushes out, telling his fam to stay put because what's outside is way too dangerous. Without wasting a second, he darts straight into the rift. The last thing he hears are his grandma and sister screaming his name. Scene swap, now we're at the Seoul Hero Association. Alarms go off the second a rift appears over the Mapo area. It's been 63 days since the last one and now it's back. Since the White Lion Guild is closest to Mapo, the manager immediately tells the team to ping them and alert all nearby heroes to help contain the threat. But when they zoom in on where the rift opened, it turns out it's sitting right on top of someone's house. This just got messy. If a civilian ends up inside the rift, it's basically game over for them. Even worse, the rift locks down once someone enters. And if they die in there, a monster stampede will come crashing out in 10 days, wreaking total havoc. The carnage could get so bad that the entire city of Seoul would be at serious risk. The manager wants to know who stepped into the rift. Turns out they got a name, Seo Dojin. He lives in that house, and according to his grandma, he jumped in to protect his family. From what they know, he's not a registered hero. And that's a major problem, because the odds of a regular dude making it out alive are basically non-existent. The whole team is left helpless, completely frozen by the fact they can't do anything. Switch scenes again. Dojin's not-so-loving stepmom is throwing a fit. She just heard he awakened and she is not happy. Her assistant tells her that while he hasn't officially signed up with the Hero Association, they confirmed he awakened during that last gate incident. She's fuming because Kang Kal-woo was supposed to eliminate him. Instead, the guy came back stronger. Furious, she slams the table and demands to know why they couldn't even get that simple job done. Worse, they still took the cash despite flopping the mission. She screams at Manager Lee, sending a fiery message to Kang Kal-woo. If he doesn't take out Dojin himself, he's gonna owe her 10 times what he got paid. But here's the kicker, her assistant drops a surprise bomb. They might not even need to deal with him anymore. Why? A fresh rift just opened right above Dojin's place. Since they know he entered it, they're thinking he's toast. Hongju's face lights up, finally some good news. She chills out, acting like everything's fine for once, and tells her assistant to monitor the situation until more details come in. Back to our boy. He's just landed inside the rift. It's a forest. Not just any forest though, it's the exact same one where he used to relax as a kid. The forest of Patiswa. It's been recreated perfectly down to every little detail he remembers. Even the mana here feels just like it used to, thick, heavy, and real. As he walks down the path, he smiles when he sees it. The world tree, this beast of a tree oozes pure mana, literally the heart of the world's balance. When the old world collapsed, it all started when this tree was burned to ashes. That disaster broke the flow of mana forever. But here, the tree's untouched, looks exactly how it used to. He's not sure how that's even possible, but one thing's crystal clear. This is his shot at getting his power back. Sitting under the tree, soaking in that juicy mana, Seo Dojin starts getting his groove back. He meditates there for 3 straight days. No food, no water, doesn't even move. 10 full days pass, and all he does is focus on syncing his breath with the mana around him. But then, on the 10th night, trouble shows up to ruin everything. These freaky alien-looking monsters show up, the Valsana. Same ones that burned the tree in the past. This time though, Seo Dojin's not about to let that happen again. They charge at him, but he's annoyed. He wishes he had a water element blade to clean house. These flaming beasts roar as they charge in. But our boy, he's so juiced with mana now, he doesn't even care about weapons. He is the weapon. And those fists, yeah, they're rated E for everyone. He stretches out his hand. Boom, just the pressure from his mana alone slams one of the monsters to the ground. The second creature completely frozen in shock. Let's break it down real quick what he just did. That's mana release, not telekinesis. It's a blast-type skill that burns up raw mana and sets it off like a bomb. He hasn't pulled it off like this in ages, mostly cause he's been running on fumes lately. Still, the Vulcanina beasts aren't backing off. They fire off glowing energy shots from their jaws. These laser-like beams zoom straight for Seo Dojin, who's just standing there chill like it's nothing. His mana field alone blocks everything coming his way. He strolls up to the monsters, flaring with a surge of mana, and casually says the world tree is finally safe. Time to let loose a little and actually have some fun. The freaks try blasting him again, but our guy shuts 2 of their mouths mid-charge, causing their own attacks to blow up inside their heads. Boom! Headless fiery corpses drop to the floor. The bodies crumble and leave behind 2 handy mana crystals. But that's barely scratching the surface. Dojin's hyped, especially now that he's unlocked something called the Eternal Ember. After wiping out wave after wave and swinging through the crowd like it's target practice, he's just having a blast scooping up all their mana loot. The massacre doesn't stop till every last creature's toast. Jackpot moment. He's drowning in stones, then he notices something else in the pile, a small glowing item, kind of like a coin or maybe a seed. It's the Eternal Ember. He scoops it up and crushes it, setting off a flame, awakening inside him. The way he handles it, kinda like Sukuna from Jujutsu Kaisen, just toying with cursed energy. Now, if we're being real, the ideal move here would be to keep milking mana from the world tree. But his body's totally maxed out, can't absorb a drop more, so instead the backup option is to absorb the eternal ember itself, which reshapes all his mana into pure fire energy, so that's what he does. The second it's in, his body ignites with intense flame power. In his previous life, he never gave the eternal ember a second thought, didn't care. But now it's essential. Problem is, each ember takes like 10 minutes to fully absorb. Luckily, he's sitting on a fat stack, so the plan is to process as many as he can. Back outside, reporters are crowding around Seo Dojin's home trying to get the scoop. Agents and Hunter Association staff are locking it down. Bangangu's heated, mad about some idiot barging into the rift way too early. No joke, this guy looks like Yan Ho from Solo Leveling but with a fresher haircut. Then we've got another blue-haired lead character, Kim Hyun-woo. He gets why Dojin did it, he wanted to save his sister. But Saengu's not buying that story. He's accusing Dojin of diving in recklessly, not thinking about the fallout. If Dojin had just offed himself normally, it wouldn't be this big a deal. But dying inside a rift, that's a disaster waiting to happen. Monsters would start flooding out. Hyun-woo asks for Gilma's opinion, and Gilma basically said stick to the protocol. Hyun-woo brings up how rifts are popping up worldwide, in the US, China, Turkey, Switzerland, even the UK. Gilma's got his hands full juggling crises everywhere. This stuff isn't supposed to be normal. Some countries have it under control. South Korea, not so much. They're freaking out because one guy might have caused a full-blown catastrophe. Saengu's so pissed he wants to throw hands with whoever jumped in, and is practically begging the rift to spit the guy back out. Speaking of that giant purple gate, it's been 28 days since it appeared. Same amount of time Seo Dojin's been inside. The Hero Association's already listed the threat as a level 1 wave. No one outside knows Dojin's identity yet for safety reasons. They're calling him just a random civilian. While the world stays in the dark, a certain moneylender boss figures it out real quick. His assistant confirms it's Dojin. Kim Yong-woo, the guy's right-hand man, works directly under their boss Hwang Chang. Changub's curious if Dojin's got any chance of making it back. Yeah, I said it, the One Piece is real. Anyway, the assistant's got no faith, says a regular dude's odds are less than 1%. But hearing that makes Changub smirk. That so-called civilian wrecked his crew so bad they were eating hospital food for weeks. The world seriously has no clue what kind of monster they just underestimated. Changub then asks about his chances if he's actually an awakened one. Assistant says it really depends on his combat level, and there's no way to know without more intel. Even Chang agrees, just because someone can fight doesn't mean they can survive a rift. There are layers to this, and a dungeon's not the place for guessing games. Still, one thing's clear, Dojin hasn't changed one bit. Changub says he wants to protect Dojin's family, but don't get it twisted, he's not being noble. Now, if Dojin dies, he plans to harvest his family's organs. And if Dojin survives, he's slapping a fat debt bill on him anyway. Yeah, total leech behavior. Cut to the majestic world tree. Seo Dojin's now deep in his training arc, running wild with flame mana. He's been going non-stop, soaking up hundreds of fire stones without even noticing the time. Now he's loaded with so much fire energy he can bend it however he wants. Bonus perk, his flame resistance is on a whole new level. Looking back at his old self, he's pretty sure he's outpaced who he used to be, at least when it comes to fire power. He shares a quiet moment with the world tree, which has always had his back then and now. He's beyond thankful for it. To stash all the mana rocks, he crafts a bag out of vines. Once everything's packed up, he gets the feeling this might be his final goodbye to the divine tree. Even so, he hopes that if the tree's ever in danger again, they'll meet, and this time he'll be ready to defend it. Honestly, that whole moment hit me right in the feels. Later that night, Seo Dojin finally walks out of the rift, fully intact, no injuries. But he doesn't sense anyone nearby. Guess everyone assumed he was already dead and a monster surge was about to kick off. Still, he senses a powerhouse nearby and bolts off to catch up. Not long after, he runs into two familiar faces, one looking ticked off, the other laid back. Yep, it's Hun Woo and Saengu again. From the way they're dressed, he can tell they're probably from the association, and if they do manage to catch him, yeah, big trouble. So thinking fast, he launches a flaming sphere into the sky with a full swing. That thing rockets over the buildings and goes boom with a serious blast. The second Hun Woo and Saengu hear the blast, they're on edge. Realizing it's fire-related, they dash to investigate. They show up to a group of bystanders frozen in fear. Saengu's like, what the hell happened here? While that's going on, our guy's kind of impressed with how accurate his fire magic is. It's looking solid. Thinking of his old pal Tusk, he wonders if the fire wizard would have been proud of his progress. Tusk was known as the continent's top fire user and meant a lot to him. Suddenly, Hyun Woo picks up something off and checks the rift. It's glitching. Then it vanishes right in front of them. The two agents sprint over to confirm. And sure enough, the rift's connection to their realm is just gone. Meanwhile, Dojin is casually on his way to the next place like nothing happened. By the next morning, it's all over the news. The rift in Mappo, which had stuck around for a month, is now gone. And it happened exactly 29 days after Seo Dojin stepped in. The association's theories about a monster outbreak, dead wrong. Now they're scrambling to figure out what caused both the rift's sudden shutdown and the massive junkyard fire that happened at the same time. Most people assume Seo Dojin died in there and that everything is just fallout from him being reckless. But they have no clue he's still alive, blending in and watching as some folks mourn the loss of the supposed hero. Still, the rift disappearing, that stings. It hurts Dojin more than he expected. He can't connect with the world tree anymore and that hits him hard. But even if he can't protect that anymore, there's still something left in his life that matters. Cut to the HCS capital, where a bunch of clowns are celebrating his death, already planning to deal with the old lady and Dojin's sister next. One scumbag even jokes about keeping the sister alive just to exploit her later. While they're running their mouths, a voice they didn't expect cuts in asking to see their boss. Cut next up we see Changub humming to himself, living it up now that Dojin's supposedly 6 feet under. His assistant is going through his schedule. It's mostly clear, just a lunch with another CEO. Changub's happy since that means he can party hard tonight at Madame Kang's club. But the mood shifts fast as he climbs the stairs. He spots his guys being wrecked like rag dolls. Blood everywhere, and who's behind it all? The guy he thought was gone for good. Dojin slams him down and tells the stunned Changub to get on all fours and crawl back like a mutt. That line alone has the guy frozen in fear. Dojin drops into the chair like he owns the place and repeats his order. Changub's brain is still buffering, but eventually he drops to the floor. Done, Dojin demands a bark, loud and clear. Changub whimpers before letting out a weak bark. But Dojin isn't satisfied. He makes him do it over and over, full-on humiliating the guy. This is payback. Changub's getting treated the way he treats everyone else. Then Dojin calls him out. People like him pretend to play nice but will stab you in the back the first chance they get. He says his life has been filled with trash like this dude. Changub starts begging, saying he'll be loyal if that's what it takes. But Dojin's done listening. He lands a brutal slap across Changub's face. That sends blood flying. While his assistant watches in shock, Dojin calls him over and gives him a promotion. He's now the boss. Dojin tells him it's time to stop working under a scumbag like Changub. Knowing these guys will just betray people again, he orders the assistant to finish the job and kill the dude. But the assistant hesitates, saying Changub has deep connections and if he takes over, things could get ugly. He pleads for mercy on Changub's behalf. Dojin's done with nice talk though. He straight up suggests wrapping Changub in a barrel and dumping him into the ocean. After all, these guys are pros at making problems disappear. When he sees they're still not on board, Dojin turns up the heat. He threatens to feed every single one of them to the monsters through the gate if they don't comply. That's enough to make Changub completely break down. He's on his knees, sobbing and swearing he'll never betray Dojin again. Dojin pauses. He could end this clown now, but something's changed. He admits he's not as cold as he used to be. So this time he offers a hand. Changub clings to it like a lifeline, ready to worship Dojin if he has to. But then he notices his hand is burning. Yeah, just because Dojin's gone soft doesn't mean he's a pushover. He locks eyes with him and reminds him this is his last shot. Then Dojin torches the guy's hand clean off. It's just a melted mess now. As he walks out, ignoring Changub's screams, he drops one final warning. If any of them so much as think about messing with his family again, he'll be back and they won't live to regret it. As part of their new assignment, they're now locked in for life. Keeping Seo Dojin's family safe is their permanent gig. Now that's one way to deal with backstabbers. Official reports say Seo Dojin vanished with the rift, just another casualty no one cared to dig into. Truth is, he's munching nuggets at the neighborhood Whack-Donald-S. The government, the Hero Association, the press, everyone moved on like he never existed. To them, he was just some rando who dove into a rift and didn't come back. Even if he walked out and shouted, "I'm alive," no one would give a damn. Worse, showing up after soloing a rift, that's just asking for a full-on legal headache. That obedient mutt Hong Chang is helping him house hunt for something chill, so he's not rushing anything right now. Seo Dojin finally treated his little sis to a proper fast food meal. And he let her in on the plan. They're upgrading to a nicer hood. She's all smiles. That means kindergarten soon, and elementary school after that. But as soon as school got brought up, Yunyang's whole vibe dipped. Dojin was caught off guard. Dude can take down nightmare beasts with no sweat, but comforting a crying kid, yeah, not his strong suit. She opened up. Some bratty kids bullied her for not having parents. Hearing that nearly cracked Dojin's core. If she doesn't want to hang with those little jerks, she doesn't have to. Karma's coming for them anyway. Once she realized she could skip that toxic kindergarten drama, Yoonyoung lit up like a firecracker. Meanwhile, Dojin's already cooking up a plan. Enroll her in a top-tier private school where no one can throw shade. Later that night, Dojin discovered Kim Eungu had stuffed Grandma and Yoonyoung into a random roadside motel while he was stuck inside the rift. That scumbag practically folded himself in half trying to explain it, claimed it was under their company's umbrella so security was solid. Dojin didn't have the energy to throw hands tonight. He just walked into the room and saw his family again. Yoonyoung launched into his arms like a mini bear. And Grandma gripped his hand, eyes full of tears. She was just grateful her grandson came back alive. The warrior froze for a second. But the warmth hit him, he couldn't ignore it. He smiled, finally letting himself feel the love. Now that Yoonyoung's obsessed with Whack-Donald S, they've been eating there non-stop. One day she got curious and asked about Big Bro's hero job. When he asked if she thought it was cool, she just shrugged and said nope. Sure, heroes are strong and flashy, but they're always in danger. Some don't even make it back. She doesn't want that. She just wants her brother alive and at home with her and Grandma forever. Dojin's not used to this. Someone worrying about him, that's rare. Back in his previous life, he was humanity's last man standing, clawing through monsters straight out of nightmares. And yeah, he lost everything. But this time, he's got something worth protecting. Emotions he buried long ago are creeping back in. Maybe here he can actually live, not just survive. Maybe this is where he finds peace, while he's soaking in those warm, fuzzy feels. Korea's Hero Association is falling apart. Nate Wong, the OG founder of the Korean Hero Association and the big boss of the World Hero Federation, is stressed out of his mind over the recent non-event rift incident. They've thrown every expert at the case and still nothing. That kind of radio silence, terrifying. He's starting to panic. What if that vanishing rift just pops back up? His assistant tries to agree, saying a full-on wave might have been better. At least that's predictable. Wong shuts that down immediately. Sure, he's nervous, but hey, no casualties is still a win. This guy isn't just some bureaucrat. Nate Wong's ranked in the world's top 100 heroes. If he ran for office, he'd probably win by a landslide. His voice alone could bring down Megacorp, but he's not in it for power or money. All he cares about is keeping people safe, real one behavior. Still, he wants that area swept again, no stone left unturned. Thankfully, the locals have already agreed to sell off the land, so clearing the zone won't be an issue. As a small thank you, he's planning to overpay them for the trouble. It's the least they can do after dragging them into this. Meanwhile, word is spreading that rifts are showing up across the globe. Something is definitely brewing. The US and China have already stabilized theirs, but the UK, total disaster. Their squad was straight up trash. Then now, the month-long mission to contain their rift, officially toast. The wave just hit and it's bad. The city's still moving like everything's normal. Among the crowd, Seo Dojin blending right in. His stop today, his go-to store inside the Hero District. As he strolls in, the cashier greets him on reflex, then freezes the moment he registers that face. Dude turns pale instantly. Good news is his manager's around today. At least he won't have to handle this nightmare customer solo. Manager calmly folds his newspaper and looks up. Voice low but clearly pissed. This is the same kid who keeps shoving junk crystals onto his poor cashier. Dojin casually shrugs off his bag and dumps it onto the floor. Honestly, it's better that the manager's here. It'll make offloading these crystals quicker. The guy expects the same garbage quality junk as last time. He's not about to waste time on peanuts. But Dojin's not vibing with that kind of attitude. He came for a deal, not to get brushed off. Still, no sane business owner would take a 1% cut, so the manager's already checked out. He'd rather this kid just bounce. Dojin wasn't backing down. He told him straight up, turning down this deal would be a move he'd seriously regret. But the manager didn't even flinch. He just kept waving him off, eyes never leaving his paper. That was the last warning. Push any harder and it's gonna get messy. Dojin didn't say another word, he just booted the bag. The moment it hit the tiles and spilled open, both cashier and the manager froze. They knew exactly what kind of crystals were inside, and it wasn't the low-grade trash they expected. That ugly-looking sack, yeah, it turns out it's jam-packed with hero-grade mana shards, basically legendary loot that you can't just throw money at. Seo Dojin has a solid idea of how valuable this haul really is. He knows he's holding jackpot-tier goods. Fun fact, those same crystals once ended up in the hands of a notorious Mexican cartel boss, Koror Salmon, who used them in some freaky experimental narcotics. One night, a lab mishap flipped his entire story, and the world's opinion on these tiny glowing rocks. That exact crystal type triggered Koror Salmon's awakening into an overpowered hero. Ever since, this stuff became must-have fuel for powering up and triggering awakenings. It's so rare, it basically sits on the luxury tier of mana resources. Just to flex, Dojin straight up told those chumps to rebag everything and dipped. The moment he turned his back, the manager's vibe did a full 180, ditched the smug act, turned on the charm, and personally escorted the guy to the VIP booth, even offered a drink. While his employee wiped down the goods, Dojin lives for flipping the script like this. 1 second they're shooing him off. Next thing he's chilling with a cold drink like royalty. Right off the bat he dropped his terms full price and only a 0.5% cut. The manager started showing signs of hesitation, and Dojin didn't hesitate to threaten to pull out of the deal entirely. The thing is, he's taken 1% in past trades, but today he's shaving it down just out of pure spite. The manager immediately started groveling, trying to spit out the most genuine apology possible. But Dojin's heard that routine too many times. He's not interested. They either take his numbers or he walks. End of story. At the counter, the cashier's quietly losing it, calling Dojin a jerk in his head for being so damn difficult. And when the manager realized the guilt trip angle wasn't landing, he went into lecture mode, blabbing on about market rates and stone grading. Dojin didn't even pretend to listen. He just slammed the rest of his drink, stood up, and gave the manager a heart attack. Thinking this once-in-a-lifetime deal was slipping away, the manager quickly tossed out an offer, 9% cut. Dojin didn't even blink. He countered by walking away, so the manager dropped it to 8%. Then 7%, then 6%, then 5%. By now the store's making nothing from the sale. While the manager's sweating bullets, Dojin swoops in and says he'll do 1%, only out of respect for their previous transactions. Internally, the manager wanted to blow a fuse. The extortion was real, but he just couldn't let those crystals go. Then Dojin dropped a line that nearly made the man faint from excitement. That bag just one of 8, he's sitting on 7 more. A contract was pulled out faster than lightning, signed on the spot. A few moments later, CO Dojin's bank account lit up, 67 billion won clean. That's around 48 million US dollars. Suddenly, that 110 billion won dream house doesn't seem too far off. Only problem, farming top-tier crystals from normal dungeons is way too slow. If he could freely move through rift zones, he'd be printing treasure non-stop. While scrolling through his phone, a breaking alert flashed across his screen. A wave incident in the southern UK just went public, and now travel to the UK completely banned. Seeing a legit global disaster unfold on screen, Dojin lost all interest in playing mind games with that shop owner. Back in the day, it wouldn't matter which nation or which guild. It was automatic for him to rush in and shut down a rift. But he's not that guy anymore. He's got better things to care about. Like tonight's dinner, Dojin's buying, and it's premium meat time. Yunyang was practically drooling over the pork and beef sizzling on the grill. And the luxury just kept piling up, dish after dish, meat after meat. Grandma started getting nervous about the bill. The prices were insane. She softly asked her grandson if this was really okay. 250k won for just 100 grams, that's robbery tier pricing. Dojin waved it off like nothing. After cashing out on those crystals, they could eat the whole menu and still not make a dent. One bite of that juicy, melt-in-your-mouth beef. And Yunyang was gone, she was hooked. Dojin kept tossing more cuts on the grill like a madman while Grandma stared in mild panic. There was more incoming: ribs, strip loin, ribeye, skirt steak, everything. The amount of food was just absurd. Grandma couldn't wrap her head around how 3 people could eat this much. Well, she's underestimating how hungry main characters get. To ease her doubts, little Yunyang begged Grandma to give the fancy meat a try. Of course, she gave in. One bite was all it took, instantly dissolved her worries. And just like that, dinner became a feel-good feast full of happy faces and laughter. But outside their bubble of joy, someone unexpected walked into the restaurant. Every head turned, people were gawking like they just saw a celebrity, which, to be fair, they kinda did. The woman didn't waste time. She made a straight beeline for CO Dojin and called out to him directly. She just wanted to have a quick word, nothing dramatic. But Dojin shut it down right there. Interrupting family dinner, not happening. If she's got something to say, she can wait until the food's done. Hunyan flashed her ID card, thinking the name drop would change his attitude. Spoiler, it didn't. Dojin went right back to grilling like she wasn't even there. And so, the famous S-rank hunter sat herself down in the waiting lounge like a regular nobody. Of course, with her status, she instantly became the talk of the room. Everyone was side-eyeing her, whispering, "She's not just top 4 in the whole country, some even rank her in the top 10 hottest heroes on Earth." But all anyone could think was, who the heck is making Julian sit around and wait? Meanwhile, ignoring all the attention, Julian replayed her brief chat with Dojin in her head. From what she knew, he'd only entered his first gate 2 months ago. Everyone assumed he died in the Mapo Rift disaster. But here he is, very much alive and eating barbecue with family. Nothing about this dude adds up, and the look he gave her made her spine tingle. No way a newbie just hits S-rank in 2 months. Not even with unlimited cash. Even Kafmor, that Ulrich freak who poured billions into mana stones, needed 5 months to max out. Trying to make sense of it all, Julian figured Dajin must have some kind of secret skill. Eventually, Dajin, Grandma, and Yunyang wrapped up the feast, full bellies and good vibes all around. As they walked toward the exit, Julian finally approached to speak again, but before she could open her mouth, another squad stepped into the place, reeking of arrogance. And when Dajin spotted one of the guys, his eyes turned razor-sharp.